Cinephiles, romantics, and chaos chasers of the celebrity universe, welcome home to Secrets Behind the Stars. Take a breath, dim the lights, and lean in. This isn't a casual update to scroll past. This is a door creaking open to a corridor where adrenaline hums through the walls and every step echoes with reinvention. If you're new to our corner of the internet, smash that subscribe, bless that like, and if our deep dives feed your curiosity, the join button is there to bring you into our inner circle at Secrets Behind the Stars. Your support keeps the spotlight burning. Now, let's turn toward the storm gathering over European screens, the image that split timelines and left comment sections roaring. One photograph. That's all it took to jolt the fandom into a frenzy and leave even the skeptics whispering. The man at the center? Cenk Torun, captured at the eye of the hurricane on the set of Butterfly Labyrinth. It wasn't a glossy promo. It wasn't a red carpet smile. It was something rawer, sharper, a face streaked with theatrical blood, eyes set in a hunter's focus, a posture sagging under the weight of scenes pushed to the limit. And beneath that exhaustion, a spark that refuses to dim. The question is no longer whether Cenk is chasing another lead role or biding time until a safer bet appears. The question clawing at the edges of every thread is this: has Cenk Torun crossed a threshold he cannot return from? Is this a single snapshot of a brutal night, or is it the mask of a new era for a star who has outgrown the neat boxes we tried to tuck him into? As cameras in Spain raced the calendar toward Wrap Day, that single shard of imagery detonated a chain of fresh questions. Why is Cenk refusing the cushion of a stunt double even in the most punishing beats? Why is Kaplan, the tiger, written in such ferocious shades of darkness? Why has the action level snapped into the stratosphere? And the loudest whisper of them all, is Butterfly Labyrinth the vehicle that vaults Cenk into a different league altogether? From the cobbled lanes of Italy to Spanish soundstages, from late-night US binge-watch circles to the feverish pulse of Turkish fan pages, Cenk is no longer simply a familiar face. He's a presence you can feel before you see, a name that starts discussions and ends them. And at the heart of this blaze is the alchemy between him and Mahasine Merabet, on set, in those loaded glances and breathless chases, and off-set, in a hush that says everything even when they won't. No, this is not your average behind-the-scenes shot, it's the signpost of a story that chose the steepest hill just to prove it could climb. The whispers from the production floor paint a relentless picture: no shortcuts, no easy days, no safety rails. Butterfly Labyrinth is a web of precision and pain, razor-edged fights, races through narrow streets, close-quarters combat that leaves makeup teams replicating bruises that look too real, and a psychological undertow that drags the lead to the brink. Cenk returns as Kaplan, the former secret agent known as the Tiger, a man built in the dark by a system that used him, broke him, and tossed away the pieces. He isn't the clean-cut heartthrob who solves problems with a grin and a bouquet. He's a man whose very name sets traps in motion, a target walking, a myth dissolving into a grim reality. And somewhere in that storm is the woman who disrupts his mission with one decision, one risk, one look: Mahasine Merabet, playing the soul he's terrified to lose and the truth he can't ignore. The classic romance formula has been rewritten here. In Butterfly Labyrinth, to love does not mean whispering under moonlight. It means sprinting through alleys with sirens yowling in the distance. It means choosing the other person over the clean shot, over the clear path, over survival. Leaked murmurs insist that the romantic beats are not gentle, they are storm-dark, hard-edged, and emotionally devastating. Mahasine meets Cenk's intensity with an answering flame, not softening the frame but sharpening it. She doesn't stand behind him, she stands in front of the danger, and the camera refuses to look away. Fans are asking whether their chemistry is only written on the page or kindled in the silence after cut, and the only answer they're getting is the kind you have to feel. Beyond the bruises and the breakneck choreography lies another battlefield: language. This is Cenk's full immersion into a Spanish script, pages and pages lived and breathed in a cadence he had to claim from scratch. In Madrid, he confessed that the first days felt like stepping into the ring blindfolded. But he leaned into the fight. One-take scenes that would already be a triumph get repeated not because the director demands it, but because Cenk does. He wants the vowels to land like footsteps, the consonants to slash like a switchblade. The crew's joke-turned-mantra is simple: he won't stop until the words bleed truth. And beside him, Mahasine brings her own mosaic of languages and rhythms, weaving French, Arabic, and Spanish into a presence that feels borderless. Together, they're building a performance that speaks in the breath between lines. Industry signals are deafening. Mediaset is on board, which means Spain won't be the only stage. Italy is already tugging at the curtain. Every still that escapes the set goes off like a flare, Italian press collecting clues, Turkish fans dissecting glances, US watchers bookmarking the drop. Comment sections split into factions, then merge into a chorus. Kaplan could be the character that brands Cenk Torun into the memory of this decade. And there's pressure, yes, more than most would admit. Cenk is juggling the grind like a man who refuses to blink. He's stoking the fires around the Turk for Movie Star Plus, fielding the spotlight aimed back at Sandokan as it streams on Netflix in the US, and carrying the most punishing days of Butterfly Labyrinth on his back as if he asked for the extra weight. Triple pressure, we're calling it. One role asks for mythic swagger, another for historic gravity, this one for injuries that even makeup can't pretend away. And yet in each of them, he moves differently, speaks differently, breathes differently. It's like watching the same storm wearing three different skies. Let's talk Kaplan, the man behind the codename, the shadow who learned to blend into the walls so thoroughly that when he steps into the light, he looks like a ghost. He's not the charmer who fumbles his way into a kiss and a happy ending. He's the operative who learned that loyalty cuts deepest when you least expect it, that betrayal has a voice you recognize, that the system will teach you to break so it can shape you into a weapon. He has been cast aside, written off, marked for erasure. And yet, here he is, pulling the thread that could unravel everything. Who's hunting him? Who wrote the script to end him? Every answer only raises the temperature, and every fight scene ends with a question that hovers long after the bruises fade. But look closer, beneath the hardened exterior is the one variable the enemy can't predict: love that doesn't retreat. That's where Mahasine stands, complicating missions with the gravity of her presence. The scenes between them don't purr, they crackle. Reports from set claim that doors slam not because the script calls for it, but because the moment needs it. That looks last a second too long for fiction, that after the most brutal takes, they fall into a quiet that says more than any line written the night before. There's talk of a hallway scene that ends in a promise spoken like a vow and a chase along a rooftop that leaves them laughing through tears. The camera lets them bleed, and they don't flinch. Here's the thing about authenticity: it doesn't come cheap. Cenk has never been shy about doing his own stunt work when he can, trusting the audience to feel reality in the way his shoulders drop or his breath stutters after a sprint. He said before that you can't pretend to hurt and expect the lens to believe you. And so he leans in, scuffed knuckles, scraped cheek, the tremor that follows a hit, all crafted and yet lived. When he steps into Kaplan's boots, he isn't just wearing a character's pain, he's inviting it to live in his bones for a while. That's why those photos rattled everyone. Not because the blood looked real, but because the fatigue did. If you've ever wondered whether language can become a second skin, watch closely. Word is that Cenk pushed to run certain scenes as long takes, forcing himself to surf the Spanish without a cut to rescue him. He treats syllables like stone steps across a river: if he misplaces one, he splashes, and he hates the splash. The crew chants back the lines like a drumbeat, the dialect coach hovers just out of frame, and Mahasine gives him a glance that steadies the ground. Those moments don't read like effort. They read like transformation. And the market is listening. Mediaset brings reach, Italy brings heat, and the excitement buzzing from the peninsula is already climbing walls. Butterfly Labyrinth will land on Spanish screens and then vault to Italy, and the ripple is expected to crest. Every drop of content from set, every smudge of grime, every bruise-colored still, lands like a meteor. Kaplan will be his toughest skin yet, fans declare, and there's a conviction in the way they say it that makes you think they might be right. Now it's your turn. Tell us in the comments, do you crave the soft focus romance of Cenk's earlier days, or are you ready for the jagged edges of Kaplan? Are you here for the slow burn ache between Cenk Torun and Mahasine Merabet, or does the high-octane chase have your heart pounding? As we widen our lens on Turkish stardom, who should get the next deep dive? Hand Ursel, Kerem Bürsin, Demet Özdemir? Drop names, theories, and wild predictions. We live for your takes, and we read them all. And if you want to keep the engines roaring at Secrets Behind the Stars, that join button is the cleanest way to fuel us. The tightrope Cenk is walking would make most stumble, promoting the Turk for Movie Star Plus while fielding questions about Sandokan's global momentum on Netflix in the US, then stumbling back to set in Spain for another day of running, falling, fighting through the tangled tunnels of Butterfly Labyrinth. Anyone else would call it too much. He calls it Tuesday. The man is playing chess while sprinting a marathon, and somehow the pieces still land where he wants them. As we inch toward the final days of shooting, tension coils. Every leak wins the spring tighter. Every rumor becomes oxygen. Cenk isn't approaching the labyrinth as a puzzle, he's approaching it as a battlefield. He refuses to be swallowed by it. He intends to map it, master it, build a throne from it. And the charge in the air says one thing: this time he isn't only acting. He's fighting. When Butterfly Labyrinth arrives, don't expect something you can watch while texting. Expect a spiral of blood and grit, a love story that feels dangerous to touch, a revenge chord humming beneath the skin. Expect a lead who seems to break in real time and then learns how to stand taller as if the floor rose to meet him. Expect Mahasine delivering steel-wrapped tenderness with a stare that could topple a lie from across the room. Expect to forget you're safe on your couch. We've walked through the clues. We've sifted through the bruised snapshots. We've traced Kaplan's outline until our fingers smudged. But the riddle remains. Is Cenk Torun slipping into a character, or is he carving out a new chamber of himself he didn't know existed? Will this role set him on fire in a way that warms an entire continent, or will it ask for more than even he can give? There's only one way to find out: show up when the lights drop and the title card breathes. Watch for the moments that don't look staged. Listen for the silence that says everything. Pay attention to the way he looks at Mahasine when the world is falling down the stairwell. That's where the truth hides. And before you go, if this ride through the maze lit something in you, honor it. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and if you want to sit closer to the flame, join the family at Secrets Behind the Stars. Your support lets us chase the whispers and bring back the stories the spotlight almost missed. Until the next revelation, keep your eyes wide, your hearts loud, and your questions sharp. We'll be here, watching the storm gather, ready to step into the rain with you. Secrets Behind the Stars, signing off, for now.